An hour north of Northumberland lies the Scottish town of North Berwick. North Berwick Harbour was built in the 12th century, and in 1425 it was made into a royal borough. By the 19th century, it was known for its fishing industry. A railway line from Edinburgh brought many for their summer holidays, as well as royal visitors who enjoyed the sea and the fine sandy beaches. This earned North Berwick the name the Biarritz of the North. Today it's known as a holiday, sailing, golfing and angling centre. Sea kayakers are drawn here by a majestic sentinel rising from the Firth of Forth, the Bass Rock. This ancient volcanic plug is a haven for one of nature's most spectacular avian gatherings. Here, amidst the rugged cliffs and crashing waves, over 150,000 northern gannets nest, transforming the island into a living, breathing tapestry of white and gold. With very little swell forecast, and with winds of both at force 1 and force 2 predicted, I made the 2-hour drive north to visit this incredible natural wonder. The classic, and definitely the safest route, is to set off from North Berwick and follow the coast eastwards to St Baldred's Boat before heading north and crossing the 1.3 mile open crossing to Bass Rock. However, I tend to be a bit impatient, and the sight of Bass Rock before you when you round that first corner just proves to be too much. So I headed straight out across the Firth of Forth towards the rock, which is about a 2 mile open crossing, but you do have to contend with the full flow of the tide rushing into or ebbing out of the Firth of Forth. The Bass Rock looms steeply 107 metres out of the Firth of Forth, the last remnants of an ancient volcano that erupted 330 million years ago. To be alongside these vertical and solid cliffs is just staggering. It's really difficult to get across the scale of the place. It's said that the very first human inhabitant of Bass Rock was St Baldred in the year 600 AD, He had a small chapel on the island, but only the remains of this can be seen today. In 1671, the Bass Rock became Scotland's very own Alcatraz. This castle-turned-prison was home to political and religious prisoners, and it's said that about 40 prisoners actually died in the dungeons. The Bass Rock is home to the world's largest colony of northern gannets. The gannets spend most of the year on the Bass, arriving in late February and departing at the end of October, setting off on their long journey towards West Africa. Northern gannets are one of Britain's largest seabirds with a wingspan of about 2 metres. They feed by circling high above the sea and then tucking their wings back and diving headfirst into the water at about 60 miles an hour. This was my first visit to the island since avian flu struck in 2022. Researchers from Edinburgh University estimate that gannet numbers are down by about 25 to 30%. And although it was still an amazingly spectacular sight to see them circling overhead, it did feel like there were fewer than there have been in previous visits. There was a little more swell rolling in from the northeast than had been forecast. This didn't prove any problems for paddling. It did, however, make it quite difficult to get any steady shots of the gannets, especially using a 400mm lens handheld from a moving kayak. I definitely must do better next time. After circling the island, I headed due south to a rock formation marked by a stone beacon and surmounted by a cross. This is called St Baldred's Boat, and legend has it that St Baldred actually moved this rock formation, steering it like a boat, so that it posed less of a hazard to fishermen. From here, it's simply a case of following the rocky shoreline back west towards North Berwick. However, this is no mundane paddle back. Not only does this shoreline provide some good rock hopping opportunities, it also has some really interesting sights, the first of which is the Keegan. This is reputedly the UK's smallest harbour, and it measures just 12 metres long on its longest side and has an entrance of barely 2 metres across. It's definitely the original one-man, one-boat operation. The harbour was originally constructed in 1890 by Andrew Laidley, who used a steam engine and compressed air to actually cut out the harbour from the solid rock. Half a mile further west and you find the looming ruins of Tantallon Castle. It was built in the mid-14th century by William Douglas, and despite several sieges in its time, it's largely remained in the hands of his descendants throughout its history. Most famously, it was besieged by King James IV and James V, as well as later by Oliver Cromwell when he invaded Scotland, and it sustained severe damage during these sieges. Tantallon Castle is pretty unique in that its main defence consists of just one wall, as it's defended on 3 sides naturally by the sea because of its position on a promontory. These 3 sides only ever required a small defensive wall, with the rugged cliffs providing much of the rest. The beach below the castle is a lovely stopping off point to grab some lunch and just stretch the legs. It has crystal clear waters, and it provides some spectacular views out towards Bass Rock and the ruins of Tantallon Castle itself. This whole area offers some interesting paddling. There are many islands to explore, and even if you can't kayak out to Bass Rock, I'd highly recommend taking a boat trip from North Berwick to see and experience what David Attenborough himself described as one of the 12 wildlife wonders of the world.